The woman was treated like a collector's item by her husband and never came down from the shelf where she spent her days waiting for the maid and expecting sweet greetings from her husband. But it didn't last long, and soon her husband stopped giving her gifts as often as he used to, and only gave her a kiss before he left the house. The maid teased her and said, "No present today?" Alice put on a brave face and said, "A kiss is also a very sweet gift. It's better than a treasure for me." But the truth is in front of her eyes. She can't fool herself. Soon, her husband no longer gazed at her lovingly even though Alice was well dressed. She was still not as attractive as a computer screen to her husband. When Alice made contact with her husband, he either responded perfunctorily or simply pretended not to hear her. Alice thought maybe she wasn't beautiful enough, so she tried to dress up every day to try to attract her husband's attention again. But it didn't work out that way. Not only did it fail to make her husband look at her more, but it caused him to hate her. Her husband even moved his desk so that he could work with his back to Alice and claimed that the light was better from that position. Alice said on the surface that you are happy, but in her heart, she had already been angry and gnashed her teeth the more she thought. The more aggrieved she could not help but cry. So Alice lived on the shelf for 3 whole years. Now her husband has become not at all home servants also removed most of them. Alice was so thirsty that she screamed at the top of her lungs, but no one paid any attention to her in this empty mansion. Finally Alice made a bold decision to leave the shelf, but the long time living on the shelf made her fearful of coming back to the ground and even felt that the less than 2 meters high shelf was as scary as a tall building, but she still had the courage to jump down. Luckily, she didn't fall and Alice was like a child learning to walk again, trying to get used to her legs as she walked with somewhat rusty steps outside again after 3 years. At this moment, she was giving vent to her deep-seated desire to trample through puddles of water like a child and pour baskets of tennis balls down the stairs so exhilaratingly free that she forgot all about her husband and couldn't even bring herself to drink. After sneaking out of the mansion and hitching a ride with the post office, Alice mischievously scattered other people's mail on the road as if she wanted them to be free, just like her. The postal car stopped in the town. Alice also followed out of the car. At this time she has basically regained the ability to move in the street and kept dancing as if she had her own stereo in the eyes of this ordinary streetscape has become invaluable. Alice enthusiastically greeted every passerby and the passersby also responded kindly to her. She even rubbed up against a man's motorcycle and enjoyed the feeling of richness across her face. She was like a wild horse out of control, as if she had just been released from a mental hospital. She grabbed a traffic ticket and tore it up, and when she saw someone doing yoga, she mimicked it upside down. Alice ran all the way to the beach and danced as she pleased, and amazingly, the crowd seemed to be infected by her joy and danced with her as if she were a source of joy. Finally, Alice plunged into the sea and the cold water sobered her up from her revelry. Soaked to the skin, Alice stepped ashore only to realize that the people she had just danced with were just an illusion and that the beachgoers were looking at her as if she were a fool. Alice walks down the street shivering in the cold. Her happiness fades and she is overwhelmed, suddenly realizing that she has no idea where to go from here. Just then she passed by a beauty store and watched the makeup artist applying makeup to the customers and then looked at her own messy appearance reflected on the glass. Alice stroked her face and made a new decision in her mind that she wanted to take care of herself properly. Translated with Deep L. Calm, free version.